The Republican and Democratic parties are the two major political parties in the United States, and they differ on a range of issues, ideologies, and policy priorities. Here's a general overview of the key differences. 1. Political ideology. Republican Party, GOP. Generally aligned with conservative principles. They emphasize limited government, individual liberties, free markets, and traditional values. Democratic Party, generally aligned with liberal or progressive principles. They support a more active government role in providing social services, regulating the economy, and promoting social equality. 2. Economic policy. Republican Party, advocates for lower taxes, reduced government spending, deregulation, and policies that promote free market capitalism. They often prioritize reducing the national debt and deficit. Democratic Party supports higher taxes on the wealthy to fund social programs, increase government spending on infrastructure, education, and healthcare, and more regulation of businesses to protect workers, consumers, and the environment. 3. Social issues. Republican Party tends to hold conservative positions on social issues. They often oppose abortion rights, advocate for traditional family values, and emphasize individual responsibility. Many Republicans also support gun rights and are more skeptical of LGBTQ+ rights, though this varies among members. Democratic Party generally takes more progressive or liberal stances. They tend to support abortion rights, LGBTQ+ rights, and efforts to address systemic inequality. Democrats often advocate for stricter gun control measures and place a strong emphasis on social justice issues. 4. Healthcare. Republican Party typically favors a market-based approach to healthcare, opposing government-run healthcare systems like a public option or single-payer. They often advocate for repealing or reducing the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. Democratic Party generally supports expanding access to healthcare, with some advocating for a single-payer system, Medicare for all, or a public option to compete with private insurance. They support maintaining and expanding the Affordable Care Act. 5. Climate change and environment. Republican Party. While there is a range of views within the party, many Republicans are more skeptical of climate change policies that they believe could harm the economy. They often prioritize energy independence and support fossil fuel industries. Democratic Party emphasizes the need to combat climate change through government action, such as the Paris Agreement, and supports transitioning to renewable energy sources. They generally advocate for stronger environmental regulations. 6th, immigration. Republican Party typically supports stricter immigration policies, including stronger border security, reduced legal immigration, and stricter enforcement of immigration laws. They are often opposed to amnesty for undocumented immigrants. Democratic Party generally advocates for comprehensive immigration reform, which may include a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, protections for dreamers, and more humane immigration enforcement. 7. Foreign policy. Republican Party often favors a strong national defense, a more unilateral approach to foreign policy, and maintaining military dominance. They may be more skeptical of international organizations and agreements. Democratic Party typically supports diplomacy, multilateralism, and international cooperation. They often advocate for working through international organizations and agreements, like NATO and the United Nations. 8. Role of government. Republican Party believes in a smaller government with less intervention in the economy and individuals' lives. They advocate for states' rights and decentralization of power. Democratic Party supports a more active government role in addressing social and economic issues. They believe the government should provide a safety net and play a key role in regulating and guiding the economy. 9th, Constituencies. Republican Party historically has stronger support among white voters, rural communities, business owners, and those with more conservative religious views. Democratic Party tends to have stronger support among urban voters, minorities, women, young people, and those with more secular or progressive views. These are broad generalizations. and there is diversity of thought within each party. Political beliefs can also vary significantly based on regional, cultural, and individual factors. Would President John F. Kennedy be a Democrat today, or would he be aligned with Republican values? John F. Kennedy's values and policies, while grounded in the context of the 1960s, share some common threads with the modern Democratic Party, but there are also key differences that reflect the evolution of political ideologies over time. Areas of alignment: civil rights and social justice. Kennedy was a strong advocate for civil rights, which aligns with the Democratic Party's continued emphasis on social justice and equality today. His support for the civil rights movement laid the groundwork for the party's focus on racial and social justice. Economic policy. JFK believed in using government intervention to stimulate economic growth, including tax cuts to increase consumer spending and investment. Today's Democratic Party similarly supports using government policy to promote economic growth, though there is now a greater emphasis on progressive taxation and addressing income inequality. Internationalism. Kennedy was a staunch advocate for internationalism and maintaining strong alliances, particularly through organizations like NATO. This is consistent with the Democratic Party's current approach to foreign policy, which emphasizes multilateralism and international cooperation. Healthcare. Kennedy expressed support for healthcare reform and laid the groundwork for what would eventually become Medicare. Today's Democratic Party continues to push for expanding healthcare access, with proposals ranging from strengthening the Affordable Care Act to advocating for Medicare for all. Areas of divergence: social issues. While JFK was progressive for his time, certain social issues that are central to the modern Democratic Party, such as LGBTQ+ rights and women's reproductive rights, were not major focuses of his administration. The party today is much more progressive on these issues than during Kennedy's era. Economic regulation. Kennedy's approach to the economy was more centrist, focused on stimulating growth through tax cuts and limited regulation. The modern Democratic Party, particularly its progressive wing, advocates for more extensive regulation of corporations, higher taxes on the wealthy, and significant government intervention in the economy to address issues like climate change and income inequality. Environmental policy. Environmentalism was not a major focus of Kennedy's presidency, though he did support some conservation efforts. Today, the Democratic Party places a significant emphasis on combating climate change with ambitious proposals like the Green New Deal. Conclusion. While many of JFK's values would resonate with today's Democratic Party, particularly in areas like civil rights, internationalism, and healthcare, the party has shifted leftward on social issues, economic regulation, and environmental policy since the 1960s. Kennedy might be seen as a centrist or even a moderate Democrat by today's standards. The Democratic and Republican parties have changed significantly over the last few decades, and although President Kennedy would be considered a moderate Democrat in today's day, some of his policies parallel some of those of the Republican Party today. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.